Good morning, guys. So today we're going to be talking about multiplying fractions by fractions. So when we've talked about fractions before, we've talked about them being a part of a whole, right? So if a fraction is a part, we are really figuring out what a part of a part is. So if you go through that and you think about part of a part, that should help you kind of figure out what operation we are doing when we are looking at word problems involving fractions by fractions. Okay, so for instance, let me put this little idea into your head. And so last night, my family and I had lasagna. So here is my lasagna. Don't make fun of my drawing. You guys already know how that goes. So here's my lasagna. And we ate we ate about half of it. Okay. We only have my husband and I, and then we have two small kids, so we didn't eat very much of it. So we have half of our lasagna left over. I'm not sure why I always use this as an example because I actually hate lasagna, but that's okay. So this morning, when packing our lunches to get ready to go to work, we each took about half of our leftover. So currently, this is what we have left over right here. Okay. We took half of that each. So here is the part that I took. And here's the part that my husband took. Okay. So when you're looking at taking a fraction of a fraction, we had a half and I took half of my half. So this would be identified as 1/2 times 1/2. So if you look at the piece that I am taking for lunch, this is my piece right here. Now, in order to figure out what that is completely, I'm going to go back to my diagram, and you see where I cut this half in half? I'm going to pretend like I cut the whole pan in half. Okay, so I cut that whole pan in half, and I took the half of the half. So when I think about this, I've already got half shaded in right here of my pan, and now I'm going to take half of that half. I'm going to shade in all of this. So when I'm looking for the product of a fraction by fraction, I'm going to look for the section that has both of my colors in here. It meets both criteria. It was left over for dinner and it went in my lunchbox. So it met both of these criterias. So when I look at that, I can see that my lasagna pan is broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Okay. And of those sections, the part that I'm going to have is this one section right here. So the answer to my fraction by fraction multiplication problem, is 1 out of 4 sections. All right. So that's what we're going to be practicing today, finding a part of a part and kind of going from there, using what we have found to help us multiply these fractions. And then we're going to start looking at patterns with the equations to see what we can do when we're ready to start moving on from that. So let me show you another example. I'm going to clear my page. All right, so when I am in here, let's think this time about a flower garden. So my flower garden, my garden in general, is both flower and vegetable. So here's my garden. Okay. And in my garden, I told you it was a flower and vegetable garden. So half of it is my flowers and half is my vegetables. So these are my flowers and these are my veggies. We good so far? So if I asked you to tell me how much of my garden is flowers, you would say 1/2 because you can see that right here is 1/2 of the garden. Now, In the vegetable garden, I have several different plants. Okay. I've got tomatoes, I've got peppers, and I've got herbs. So my vegetable garden is divided up into 3 pieces. So in order to show that, I'm going to take my vegetable garden and I'm going to divide it into 3 pieces. So let me show you what that looks like. So of my vegetable garden, these are my tomatoes. These are my peppers. And these are my herbs. Okay. All right. So if I were trying to ask you the question, how much of my garden is made up of peppers? We would be trying to figure out 1/2, because 1/2 of my garden is vegetables. We have 1/2. So we're trying to figure out what 1/3 of 1/2 is. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is 1/3 of 1/2. So that word of right there is another way of saying times. So we could say 1/3 times 1/2. Okay. So I'm just looking for this section right here. How much of the total garden is that? In order to figure that out, I need to help out by bringing my lines all the way across so that I can see how many equal sections I have in my garden. Yes? So if I'm looking here, the part of my garden that's vegetable is all of this stuff in the orange. Okay? Now, the part that is just peppers, so I've shaded in my 1/2 with the orange. I tried not to do it over my words. I've shaded in the 1/2 with my orange. Now, the part that's just peppers is all of this in the yellow. So, how many sections have both of my colors? Just that 1 out of the 6. So, when we're looking at this, we're talking about 1/6 of our garden. Okay. So when we're drawing these, I'm going to show you guys first how to draw them, and then I'm going to let you guys kind of put to use. But the reason I went through these 2 examples is because I want you to understand the situations in which you're going to be using these fraction by fractions. Okay. So when you're taking a portion of a portion, if you have to share your room with your sibling and 1/4 of your side is dedicated to your dresser. Okay, how much of your room do you have for your clothing? So that's the kind of things that we're thinking about here. Okay, so I'm gonna clear my screen one more time and I'm gonna talk to you about when you're given a problem, how can we draw this to help us figure this out? Okay, so let's say, going with the problem we had before, you have 1/2 of your room. Okay, and you have 1/4 of it. Let me label this. Ooh, writing with my fingers, not very neat. And 1/4 of it is for your clothes. We want to figure out how much of the total room, what fraction of the total room you have for your clothes. Okay, so let's start off by drawing your whole room. Here is your whole room. Okay, and this side right here is yours. So we're going to shade in your half of your room. Okay. Now there's a reason I'm doing stripes like that instead of just shading it all the way in. Because sometimes it's great if you have colored pencils and you can do this. But if you only have a pencil, if you do stripes like this, do them all in one direction. I'll show you what it does here in just a second. Okay. So of this half of your room, so this is your room, right? You'll have to excuse my finger handwriting on this touchscreen. Okay, so this is your room. So in your room, we know you have your bed. We know you have your clothes. We know you have your toys, and we know you have I don't know, maybe your games or your pets section. I'm not sure. So of your room, if we're looking at this, 1/4 is your clothes. So when I'm thinking about this, I'm going to go on and cut the room into fourths so that we can see what's happening here. Let me get black. There we go. So this is your bed and your sibling's bed. This is your I don't know, your games and your siblings' games. This one is your toys and your siblings' toys. And then down here, this is your clothes and your siblings' clothes. So if we're looking at this, this is 1/4 by 1/2. Let's shade in the part of the room that is dedicated to just clothes. So I've got a different color. So if you have a color pencil, this is where it would work. Or I'm going to also do my slashes in a different direction. Okay. So this is your clothes and these are your siblings' clothes. So when we're looking at this, we are looking for the section that is going to show your side of the room and your section of clothes. So which one meets those two criteria? It has A, both of those colors, and B, you'll notice they have little X's in them because they're crisscrossing. They've got both colors. So 1/4 of 1/2 is going to be this section right here. It's the only one that has both colors. Okay. And it is the only one that, because of the way we did our slashes, they crisscross there. Okay. So 1/4 of 1/2 equals 1 out of 1. What's the denominator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1/4 of 1/2. Okay, so that's the basis for multiplying fraction by fraction. We will meet again this week and I will go over this a little bit more in depth, but I wanted to give this to you guys today as a quick intro. So hopefully this helps, and then I will see you guys later. Bye.